Assalamu alaikum, ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum. You are welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to be learning the following words and more. The first one is the word sabahan, then naharon, then shahron, then we even have sayfan. Then we're also going to learn the word fawqa, we will learn tahta, we will learn amama, we will learn khalfa. And what under which category do these words fall? Let's first look at the examples from this book. Here we have Makathtu bil Iskandariyati Shahron, which means I spent a month in Alexandria. Then we have Sharib al Maridu Dawa'a, the sick person, the patient, drank the medicine Sobahan. Then we have Jalastu ma'a sadiqi lahzatan. Then we will have tuqadul masabihu laylan. Then we have tajma'un namlatu qutaha sayfan. Let's come back to each and all of the following sentences on the board. The first one, Makathtu bil Iskandariya shahron, which means I spent a month in Alexandria. The word shahron should be underlined. Then we have Sharib al Maridu Dawa'a Sabahan. The patient drank the medicine during the time of the morning. You can see the word Shahran, Sabahan, Lahzatan, Laylan, Sayfan. All of these denote or connote the time in which an action was performed. And all of these are called Dharufu Zaman, which means adverb of time, the time in which the action is performed. Because if I was to say Makathtu bil Iskandariya, which means I stayed in Alexandria, this was enough. But you wouldn't know how long I stayed in Alexandria. That's why I will just end it by saying Shahron. So when I say Shahron, it means a month. So, and this word would come in the Nasbu case. That's why you can see it carry in Fatha. Makathtu bil Iskandariya Shahron. The same thing goes for Sharib al Maridu Dawa'a Sabahan. The patient drank the medicine Sabahan during the time of the morning. So with this alone, you can form a lot of sentences. You can even say Dhahabtu ilal madrasati. I went to the school Sabahan during the time of the morning. And you say Raja'tu ilal bayti naharon, and I returned to the house during the time of the afternoon. Wadhahabtu ila riyadi, and I went to the place of exercise masa, and during the time of the evening. So when you want to connote and you want to bring the time in which an action is performed, you can simply use the format by making those words which stands for the time period of an action in the accusative case carry in fatha. The next sentence says, I sat with my friend Jalastu ma'a sadiqi lahzatan, a moment. So the word lahzatan explains the moment, the period, and also how long, the extent at which I sat with my friend. Then we also have tuqadul masabihu, the lamps are put on laylan, during the time of the night. Then we will have tajma'un namlatu, the ants gather the food sayfan, during the period of summer. So you can see all of these. Coming to this side, we have the following sentences also. The first one says, waqaftu amamal mir'ati, I stood in front of the mirror. So the word amama, it shows the place where an action, position of an action. And this one is called Dharuful Makan, adverb of place. So, waqaftu, I stood where? Amama al-mir'ati, in front of the mirror. And the word amama would also be carried in fatha because it is in the mansub case, in the accusative case. The second sentence also says, Jalasatil hirratu tahtal ma'idati, the cat sat under the dining table. So, Jalasatil hirratu, the cat sat tahta. You can see the word tahta. It is also an adverb of place, which we call zaruful makan. The next one says, Namal kalbu, the dog slept khalfal babi, behind the door. So the word khalfa is also among the dhuruful makan, among the adverbs of place. The next sentence says, Yathibul lissu فوق السور. The thief jumped over the fence. So the word فوق there, over, above, the place he jumped to. So that is also a ظرف المكان. Then the next one is جرى علي ميلا. Ali ran a mile. So he also ran a mile. So you can see all of these are categorized into two. Either we have ظرف الزمان, the adverb of time, or ظرف المكان, the adverb of place. And we said all of these two types of adverbs are known to have one feature, which is that they will come in the accusative case, in the nasbu case, as mansub, carry in fatha. And I said you can form your own sentences, and you know these words already and more. And as we move on from our book An-Nahwul Wadih, you are going to come across lots and lots of more examples. Let's come here under the description and detailed explanation of this topic. Here we have fil amthilatis khamsatil ula. In the first 5 sentences, in the first 5 examples we brought, which you can see above in this book, La yahummuna illa al-kalimatul akhiro. Nothing concerns us much except the last words. Fi kulli mithalin, in all of the examples were here, and these last words are shahron, a month. Then we have sabahan, morning. Then we have lahdatan, a moment. Then we have laylan, a night. Then we have sayfan, a summer. وَإِذَا فَحَثْنَا عَنْ هَذِهِ الْكَلِمَاتِ فِي ذَاتِهَا. And if we are to look critically onto these words itself or themselves, رَأَيْنَا أَنَّهَا أَسْمَاءٌ مَنْصُوبَةٌ. We will see that all of these words which you have mentioned, لَحْظَةً, لَيْلًا, صَبَاحًا, نَهَارًا, and the rest, they are mansuba in the accusative case carrying fatha. ولكننا نريد أن نعرف ارتباط كل كلمة منها بالفعل الذي في جملتها. But we want to know what is the connection between these words and the verbs which appear in each of the sentences that we can see these words. ويكفينا لهذا, and it is enough for us أن نبحث في المثالين الأولين, for us to look onto the first 2 examples alone. habka kulta. Take, assuming you say, Makathtu bil Iskandariya, I stayed in Alexandria. فهل يعرف السامع من هذه الجملة مدة إقامتك بها? Would the listener know how long you stayed in Alexandria? Of course no. Ajawabula, the answer is no. He wouldn't know how long you stayed because you only informed him that you stayed in Alexandria. ولكنك إذا قلت, but if you say shahran, the moment you say shahran, he knows arafa sami'u muddata mukthika bil Iskandariya. The listener would know how long you stayed in Alexandria, that is just a single month. Wahabka kulta, just assume that you also say sharibal maridu dawa'a. The sick person, the patient, drank the medicine, the concoction. فإن السامع, the listener, لا يفهم من ذلك الوقت المحدود الذي شرب المريض فيه الدواء. The listener wouldn't know the actual period in which the patient drank the concoction, the medicine. فإذا قلت, but when you say صباحا عرف السامع ذلك, the listener already knows that because he knows that صباح means morning. وهكذا يقال في الأمثلة الثلاثة الأخرى. The same thing that we have said is the same explanation that goes for the other examples. فهذه الأسماء المنسوبة التي تعين الزمن الذي حصل فيه الفعل. All of these nouns which explains and helps us to know the period in which an action takes place, تسمى ظروف الزمان. They are called the adverbs of time. تنظر الآن إلى الأمثلة الأخرى ونتأمل الكلمات. Now let's look at the other examples and study and ponder over the words أمام, in front of, تحت, under, خلف, behind, فوق, above, ميلا, a mile. فنجد أنها أيضا أسماء منصوبة. We would also find out that these words are also accusative nouns which are carrying fatha. ثم نبحث عن ارتباط كل كلمة منها بالفعل الذي في جملتها. Then we will now search through the connection the link between these words and the verb in each of the sentences in which they appear. على النحو الذي سبق, just as we did previously في ظروف الزمان in the adverb of time. فنرى أنه إذا قال قائل, and you will now see that إذا قال قائل, if a person says وقفت, I stood, لم يفهم السامع, the listener would not understand anything إلا أنه وقف فيه, except that he will understand that he stood. ولكنه لا يعرف المكان الذي وقف فيه, but he would not know in which place he stood. فإذا قال, but when he added and said أمام المرآة, in front of the mirror, بين للسامع مكان الوقوف, it becomes explained, it becomes apparent to the listener that the place where this person is standing. وإذا قال إنسان, and if a person should say جلست الهرة, the cat sat, لم يعرف السامع أين جلس, the listener wouldn't know where the cat sat. ولكنه إذا قال, but when he says تحت المائدة, under the table, عرف مكان جلوسها, the listener would know where the cat is sitting exactly. وكذلك يقال في الأمثلة الأخرى, the same thing we are going to say in the last three examples. فهذه الأسماء المنصوبة التي تبين المكان الذي حصل فيه الفعل, these nouns which are in accusative case, which explains the place of an action, تسمى ظروف المكان, they are called the adverb of place. ويسمى كل من ظروف الزمان وظروف المكان مفعولا فيه, and each of these two categories, adverb of time and adverb of place, are called مفعول فيه, the object of in, the object which explains in which the action is performed, in which place or in what time. Now we have al-qawaid rules. The first rule says ظرف الزمان, the adverb of time, ismun mansubun, it is an accusative noun, which means it carries fatha, يبين الزمن الذي حصل فيه الفعل, which explains the time in which an action occurred. ظرف المكان, as for the adverb of place, ismun mansub, it is also a noun which is in the accusative case, يبين المكان الذي حصل فيه الفعل, which explains the place in which an action occurred. Now we have tamrinat exercises. The first one says استخرج ظروف الزمان والمكان من العبارة الآتية. You are to bring out all of the adverb of place and adverb of time from the following expression. He said, it goes thus: خرجنا يوما لمشاهدة الأهرام. We went out one day to witness or to watch or to look at the pyramids. So the word yawman, it is what? Zaruful zaman, adverb of time, because a day. فسارت بنا السيارات ساعة, and the car moved with us an hour. ساعة ظرف الزمان. ولما وصلنا إليها ظهرا, and when we arrived at the place ظهرا, during the time of zuhur, so ظهرا, time, adverb of time. وقفنا أمامها, we stood in front of it or in front of them, so the word أمام ظرف المكان. Then ومشينا حولها, we walked around it, so حول, that is what? ظرف المكان. وصعدنا فوقها, and we climbed over it, so فوق ظرف المكان, adverb of place. فشاهدنا النيل يجري تحتها, and we saw the river Nile flowing. We saw the river Nile flowing beneath it. So tahta, beneath, under, it is ظرف المكان, which is adverb of place. ثم جلسنا مدة طويلة, then we sat down for a long period of time. So مدة, there, a period, that is ظرف الزمان. ولما قلت حرارة الشمس أسرا, and when the hotness of the sun became reduced during the time of Asr, so أسرا ظرف الزمان. رجعنا على الأقدام, we returned back on foot or on feet. So you can see the word. Okay, now we have فَوَصَلْنَا إِلَى بُيُوتِنَا مَسَاءً, and we arrived our homes during the time of the evening. مَسَاءً ظرف الزمان, adverb of time. وَنَحْنُ فِي غَايَةِ السُّرُورِ وَالْقُوَّةِ, and we were in enormous happiness and strength. So you can see from here, we've been able to bring out all of the zuruf wal zaman wal makan. Now coming to the next exercise, it says اجعل كل اسم من الأسماء الآتية مفعولا فيه في جملة تامة. All of the following nouns, you are to place them in complete sentences, making them serve as the maf'ul, as what? Making them serve as maf'ulun fihi, which is either zarful zaman or zarful makan, depending on their meanings. The first one is sanatan. I can say makathu fil jami'ati sanatan. I stayed in the university for a year. Sanatan. Then we have the word laylatan. I can say safarutu laylatan. I traveled during the time of the night. Do we have kudama? I can say mashaitu kudama. Okay, I can say mashaitu kudama abi. Next we have daqiqatan. I can even say waqaftu daqiqatan. I stood a minute. Then usbu'an. I can say maritu usbu'an. I was sick for a week. So with this you can solve the remaining by yourself. Coming to tamrin thalith, exercise number 3. Da zarf zamani. You have to place a zarf zaman aw makanin or a zarf makan munasiban, an appropriate one fi kulli jumlatin min al-jumal al-atiya, in the following sentences. The first one says yadhharu al-qamaru. The moon appears laylan, during the night. Number 2, we have tatlu ash-shamsu. The sun rises sabahan, during the time, or we can say fajran, during the time of fajr. Then we have udiat anabibul ma'i. The water pipes, udiat anabibul ma'i tahta al-ardi. The water pipes are placed under the ground. Next we have intadharutu sadiqi. I can say intadharutu sadiqi. I waited for my friend. Intadharutu sadiqi daqiqatan or sa'atan. That is an hour. Then I can say waqafa al-qitaru sa'atan, which you can solve the remaining by yourself. Coming to tamrin rabi, exercise number 4. The first one says kawwin khamsa jumalin. You are to form 5 sentences. Tashtamilu kullu wahidatin minha. Each of them should contain or have ala dharfi zaman. It should have a zarf zaman, an adverb of time. I can say zurutu ammi usbu'an. I visited my uncle for a week. Next we have kawin khamsa. You can solve the remaining. Next says kawin khamsa jumalin. You are also to form 5 sentences. Kullu wahidatin minha ala dharfi makan. All of them should contain dharfu makan, adverb of place. I can say jalastu tahta shajarati. I sat under the tree. You can solve the remaining by yourself. Come to the next one. It says kawin jumlatan al-fa'ilu fiha ismu isharatin li jama'atil inath. والمفعول به فيها من الأسماء خمسة مع اشتمالها على ظرف زمان. You have to form a sentence. This sentence should have the subject as a demonstrative pronoun, which is used to represent the plurality of females or feminine, and the object فيها من الأسماء الخمسة should be among the 5 nouns that we have learned previously, and should contain a ظرف زمان. Okay, to form this sentence, we can simply say زارت هؤلاء البنات أباك مساء. These girls visited your father during the time of the evening. The last one says كون جملة الفاعل فيها ضمير جماعة المتكلمين. You should form a sentence. The subject should be a pronoun which stands for jama'atul mutakallimin, for plurality of second persons, of first persons, wal maf'ulu bihi fiha jam'u taksirin, and the object should be in it should be jam'u taksir, and it should contain a zarfu makan. So I can simply say wada'na al-haqa'iba tahta al-makatib. We place the bags under the table. Very simple. Now coming to tamrin, filling exercise on what? On composition. It says udhkur fi jumalin sahihatin kullama ta'maluhu fi yawmin utla. Fi yawmin utlatin. You are to write in complete sentences and correct sentences everything that you do in the day of what? In the holiday. Ma'at il-itiyani bi dharfi zamanin, and you should also bring in your expression zarfu zaman wal aw makan, or even zarfu makan fi ba'd al-jumal, in some of the sentences. So you can start by expressing and composing or everything that you know you do during the holiday. Lastly, we have tamrinun fil i'rab. Try some grammatical analysis. Example, we have yashtaddu al-harru sayfan. To analyze this, the word yashtaddu is fi'l mudari'un marfu. Then we have al-harru is fa'ilun marfu. Then sayfan is what? Zarfu zamanin mansub. Now we have a'rib ma yati. You are now to analyze what comes below. اختفى الولد وراء الشجرة. The boy hid himself behind the tree. So اختفى is فعل ماض, الولد is فاعل مرفوع, وراء ظرف مكان منصوب, الشجرة مضاف إليه. Then مسافر أخوك إلى الأقصر شتاء. So مسافر, the word مسافر here, you can see it is مبتدا. Then أخوك, you can see musafirun akhuka, that is khabar. Musafirun is what? Khabar muqaddamun. Then akhuka is the mubtada. Then ila is harfu jarrin. Al-aqsar ismul majrur. Then shita'an is zarfu zamanin mansub. With this, we come to the end of this lesson. We ask Almighty Allah to grant us better understanding. Until we meet again, make sure you like, share with your friends, your comments at the comment section. Don't forget to hit on the join button below to be part of our channel membership to get members of the content. Until we meet again, jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum.